From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Ron DeSantis focuses on fundraising in Miami, now that he's launched his 2024 bid for the presidency. This is a WUFT News update. I'm Kaylann Sims. Everyone who listened to Twitter Spaces yesterday endured delays and glitches in the conversation with Elon Musk. And of course, you know who was quick to pounce. NBC's Bree Jackson reports from Capitol Hill.
And freedom is worth fighting for.
The much-anticipated announcement from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
Well, I am running for President of the United States to lead our great American comeback.
But his Twitter Spaces campaign launch came with delays and major technical glitches, issues the platform's CEO, Elon Musk, downplayed during the event.
We started with some technical issues because of the sheer scale and unprecedented nature of what we were doing.
DeSantis later using traditional media to highlight his priorities.
The border, there's a lot you can do. Ripping out Biden's anti-American energy policies.
The Trump campaign wasted no time taking aim at its latest challenger, calling DeSantis' tech challenge launch a complete failure and blasting him in this video.
Why would we ever settle for Trump imposters?
A sentiment echoed by other candidates.
If he's just going to be an echo to Trump, people just vote for Trump.
The former president leading a growing field of Republicans vying for primary voters. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
Some Republican candidates spent the day in New Hampshire and Iowa. CNN reports DeSantis will likely cancel a Florida rollout event to catch up with others in coming days. The deadline for Congress to adjust the debt ceiling looms closer. Without a deal, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy sent members home today and said he'll give them 24 hours notice if they need to come back to Washington. The urgency is the time it would take for the House and then the Senate to vote on any deal. The Treasury could run out of cash and borrowing power to pay bills soon after June 1st. In Citrus County, Florida, the Lecanto community is hoping for the recovery of a critically injured school resource officer. A car ran over Deputy Andy Lahara Tuesday night as he directed traffic on the Lecanto Highway after the high school graduation. He's well known as the deputy stationed at Lecanto Middle School. He suffered many broken bones and internal injuries and is considered to be in critical but stable condition. Memorial Day is Monday, so this weekend is set to be a busy one for travel. Busy and potentially dangerous. New research by the company behind the insurance app Jerry says high population states like California, Texas, and Florida typically see more than double the number of traffic deaths as other states. We lost 359 Floridians in the decade studied. Adjusting for population, 3 Florida counties ranked worst in the nation: Palm Beach, Broward, and Hillsborough. Authorities say try not to rush and be more cautious the more the roads get congested. Chicago reporter Maggie Vespa joins us with more advice.
Bit of a mixed bag of expectations for those traveling for the Memorial Day weekend, but we'll start with the good news. Gas is down. Here in Chicago, it's at $4.79 for a gallon of regular. The national average this morning, according to AAA, is $3.57 a gallon. Think back to about a year ago this time. It's down more than $1 from Memorial Day weekend of last year. That being said, if you're driving, you could hit some traffic. 37 million Americans expected to hit the road this weekend. So some tips to avoid the worst of it. Experts say if you can, avoid hitting the road tomorrow when traffic is expected to be at its heaviest. So avoid Friday. They say it should lighten up on Saturday and Sunday. And regardless of what day you hit the road, they say try to avoid driving between 3 and 6 p.m. That's when traffic will be at its worst. It's better to drive basically in the morning or the evening. And then, of course, if you're one of the 3.4 million Americans planning to fly this holiday weekend, the gold standards always hold true. Get to the airport at least 2 hours early if you can, and also download the airline's app ahead of time. Maggie Vespa, NBC News, Chicago.
What will the weather bring for the long holiday weekend? We get the answer from UF meteorologist Justin Ballard.
We've got partly cloudy skies out there over Campus Cam, and over the last couple of days, those skies have looked a lot more ominous than what we've got out there this afternoon. You see a few cumulus clouds, but nothing too deep or nothing too substantial. Most of those showers have stayed to our east and to our south, and I do think that will remain the case here as we go through the early evening. Through about 8 p.m., Sure, we'll hold on to a maybe 20 or 30% chance of an isolated shower or storm, but most of us, especially after 8 p.m., are going to see dry conditions into the early morning hours of your Friday. Your patio forecast looking a-okay. If you're brave enough to get out there and battle with the mosquitoes, we'll have partly cloudy skies. Of course, sunset not until after 8 o'clock. Those temperatures in the mid-70s. As we take you into your Friday morning, temperatures will be in the mid to upper 60s for most areas, near 70 along the First Coast and Space Coast. The one thing you'll likely notice, those winds picking up out of the north-northeast, 10 to 15 miles per hour. A developing area of low pressure that's going to keep shower chances going through Friday is going to also be pulling in some of those kind of breezy conditions. So your forecast for tomorrow will start off with a few storms possible. I think many of us will see dry conditions though, so I think you can probably hold off on using the rain gear early on. By the afternoon, we'll have some of those scattered storms possible. Notice our temperatures here with the cloud cover sticking around, generally in the mid to upper 70s, and that's about it. Well below average by about 10 plus degrees or so. Now, our storm chance, yes, it's here for us tomorrow, but I think overall we'll have dry conditions. As I mentioned, we'll start off the morning hours with dry weather, but as we get into the afternoon, especially along the First Coast and Space Coast, if you're doing any traveling in that direction, just kind of keep an eye to the sky. Overall, most of us locally through noon will see dry conditions. A few popcorn showers and storms possible through the early evening hours tomorrow. Really, this is kind of daytime heating, our typical sort of summertime pattern. Not really in association with this right here. An area to watch in the tropics, of course. Over the next 7 days, this area does have a low chance of development. Impacts, though, will still be felt along the southeast coast. If you're heading to the beach this weekend, I know it's Memorial Day holiday weekend, expect some rip currents, expect some pretty breezy conditions, rough surf, pretty dangerous conditions really if you're going to be getting into the water. In fact, I would recommend you probably not get into the water. Our weekend planner here in Gainesville, though, again, the holiday weekend looking a-okay locally. Temperatures in the upper 70s on Saturday, low 80s on Sunday with dry conditions, I think, both days. But guess what? We start cranking up the heat as we head into next week. Of course, Memorial Day is often seen as the unofficial start of summer, and we'll crank up the upper 80s to near 90 by Tuesday and Wednesday.
For the latest sports news, here's Julianna Reichenbach.
Thanks, Kaylann, and welcome to sports. The Florida Gators are advancing at the SEC baseball tournament and are scheduled to play Vandy today. We saw painful mistakes and big plays in their first game against Alabama and a wild ending in extra innings. We pick up action in the 11th inning with the game tied at 3, and suddenly Alabama goes up 3 with a line drive to the corner. Fast forward to the bottom of the 11th, the Gators gonna be within 2 and have 2 on with BT Reichenbach, and there's no doubt about this one. The Gator catcher smashes one straight to center and out of the park. His 11th home run of the year is a tournament walk-off as the Florida team and fans whoop it up. Reichenbach said later, "It means the world to me, but it definitely means the world to our team. That was the ultimate team win." Florida football head coach Billy Napier is on his summer speaking tour. We caught up with him early this week in Gainesville, said he's not pushing for the rivalry to move away from Jacksonville.
I've certainly got a ton of respect for the game, the history that's behind where it's located, where we play at. So the underlying issue here is the economics, right? It's very beneficial for both teams to play the game there.
Good news for Napier. Florida and Georgia officially agree to keep the annual football rivalry game in Jacksonville through 2025. Our Chris Will caught up with the fans during the last game to find out how much the tradition means to them.
The Florida-Georgia game.
Right, Georgia-Florida.
Why am I here? Well, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
Well, whatever you want to call it.
And it's an annual tradition.
Until you experience it, there's nothing you can say for it.
It's one of the most treasured rivalries in all of college football.
Playing for Spurrier, I'm going to tell you.
Yes, that one. The head ball coach, Steve Spurrier.
There's not a game he wanted to win more than the Georgia game.
Corey Yarborough was part of the 1996 national championship team. The former offensive lineman went 4-1 against Georgia in his career, and as a Jacksonville area native, he knows the matchup all too well.
Man, I remember as a kid that we would work in the stadium and volunteer with Boy Scouts.
Starting from the age of 8.
So we would sell drinks in the stadium, like the sodas and stuff.
But the atmosphere surrounding the game goes well beyond the stadium walls and encapsulates itself in RV City.
We get here very early, and most of these people have been here since Tuesday night.
For a 3:30 game on Saturday.
Partying and all of that, and it's just everyone wants to have a good time and everyone wants their team to win.
Southern Soul, colorful cornhole, and of course RVs scattered Lot E near TIAA Bank Field.
It provides everything you need. I've got all the creature comforts of home. I call this my condo on wheels.
It's all a part of the festivities that have kept people like Yarborough coming back to the annual matchup. He says since before he played and even after his playing days, he missed maybe 3 games. Now, the game is a way to keep family memories alive.
I came with my parents. My mom passed away last year and my dad the year before. So a lot of significance here, a lot of good times.
And despite the intensity of the rivalry, RV City, Alligator Alley, and the world's largest outdoor cocktail party are like a new family for Yarborough, even if they don't always get along.
Well, you see each other every year. So it's like that, you're getting together with the cousins you love but you hate also. Okay, it's a love-hate.
And as fans descend upon the stadium for the 100th meeting between the Bulldogs and the Gators, questions loom over the future of the game. A joint statement from the two teams addressing the future of the rivalry in Jacksonville raised concerns over whether the game will stay.
We hate it.
Concerns.
And anyone who comes to this game, they want it to stay here.
That a lifetime of memories may soon be leaving Jacksonville.
I've been to 5 other Super Bowls. The Super Bowl environment does not hold sway to the fans of this game. It's not the same.
Not the same world's largest outdoor cocktail party it used to be, but a party players and fans alike hope will remain in Duval. Remain in a place Yarborough calls home. In Jacksonville, Chris Will, WUFT News.
Jacksonville is slowly moving toward another major renovation of the football stadium. The mayor says there could be 2 seasons with nobody able to play there. Florida and Georgia could shift to home and home like they did for the last upgrade, but it's unclear where the Jaguars would play home games. Ideas include more overseas dates or games in Gainesville, Orlando, or Tallahassee. Back to you, Kaylann.
Thanks, Julianna. That's our time for now, but your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org. Have a great evening.